Welcome to the Life After Sugar podcast, the podcast that's not just about sugar, but about your relationship with it and also with food and especially with yourself. So if you want to discover your life after sugar and hear inspiring stories from all kinds of people who also cut out sugar in their way, at their pace, for their own reasons, this is the podcast for you. Because when you take away the sugar, you can finally discover the real sweetness in your life. I'm your host, Netta Gorman, and today I'm talking with Kathy, who recognizes that she was stuck in the diet mentality, and all the different diets she'd tried gave her things like meal plans and told her what to eat, how much, when, and all that kind of thing. But what they didn't give her was the encouragement and the opportunity to think for herself and to question what she'd always thought she knew. And that is one of the most valuable things, she says, that she found in the Life After Sugar program. Before we listen to our chat, I'd like to invite you over to my website, aftersugarclub.com, so that you can surf around, enjoy all the free resources, and download your simple guide to getting more energy with less sugar. You'll also find all the podcast episodes there at aftersugarclub.com/podcast. And that's where you'll find my 5 tips to help you with cravings. You can also come say hi on my Facebook page, Life After Sugar, and come follow my Instagram account at My Life After Sugar. That's where I post, Instagram stuff like the meals that I eat and just basically my life after sugar. Okay, here's my chat with Kathy. All right, Kathy, I wanted to talk to you because I've got a few questions to ask you. Is that okay?
Sure.
Kathy, where did you first find Life After Sugar? How did you come across it?
I think I was just looking through the podcasts available on my iPhone, and I think that's where I saw it. I think that's it. And I just started listening. But then I'm thinking, was it on Facebook? Maybe it was on Facebook. I don't know. Somewhere there, those two things. And I just liked your gentle approach. And it was like welcoming. So,
Yes. There are so many approaches out there. And, it has to match with your personality, really.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever considered that it has to match my personality. I think I've looked at, I better meet those requirements or I'm not going to be able to make it.
Well, I spent my whole career as a teacher getting kids to meet requirements or else.
Yes.
And it never ends well. So I'm not going to do that to you.
Oh, thank you. It's weird, I'll tell you that.
Yes, it's weird. It's not what we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
And your sort of passage through the Life After Sugar program is also not what you're used to, as far as I can tell, right?
No. Mm-mm.
What are you used to?
Well, pieces of paper and things online that, okay, here's what you should eat and the amounts, and fill in this paper, record it online, do something, keep track. That's the main thing, tracking.
And how did that work out for you?
I could sustain it for a little while, a couple weeks maybe. At times more success, but really in the end, here I am.
Yeah, and here you are, and that's, and that in itself says something, because in my point, anyway, this is just my point of view, but I think that if you're presented with some sort of meal plan and tracking plan and diet, we'll say it as it is, what they're not asking you to do, in my humble opinion, is think. I'm hoping that the Life After Sugar program is making you think.
It really has. Yeah. Yeah, I've accessed a lot of those resources and just they've turned my ideas kind of upside down about this whole diet thing. I did not realize how much I was into that. So actually, I'm probably still into it because, I grew up with a lot of structure, and so my brain is kind of wired that way, I think. And so, I was one of 11 children, and we were told what to do and when to do it and all that stuff. So, of course, I've had my periods of rebellion and learning to think for myself with college and so on, and throughout my life. But, I started doing the Whole30 program. And that has been so helpful because one of the things I've done is seen a naturopath for several years. And she has recommended that food plan for years. And so I've tried it for a day and nothing happens. But anyway, now I can really do it. And I also had food allergies tested, and I am allergic to gluten, also dairy, but I've toyed with it, and never really taken those things seriously. And some other things too. I don't remember what they are, but those are the two main things.
Yeah.
And boy, has it made a difference. I mean, only 1 week. It's 1 week today that I've done that. And I have less inflammation. I can move better. I have energy. I can get out of bed without groaning and everything aching. It's amazing.
Isn't it amazing?
Yes.
What difference can you tell that there is between the Whole30 and sort of the approach of life after sugar?
I think they tell you what to eat. It's more direct.
Whole30 tells you what to eat.
Yeah, I don't even remember what your first food list said because I probably wasn't ready to read it at that time. I don't know.
If you go back and have a look at the food list that I gave you right at the beginning, you'll find that it's almost exactly the same as the Whole30. But what's different is you weren't ready necessarily when you signed up, but you became ready over the 6 weeks.
Yes, that's right.
Which is in itself amazing that, some people take years to be ready, and you could argue that it took you years to be ready because here you are, further on in life.
Yeah.
But sometimes it takes us, some kind of action, like the investment that you made in the program. I think it sort of kick-started your readiness to within weeks rather than within years.
Right. I think having the other ladies and you and having that Zoom thing, it's just like balm to my soul because, we just haven't been around people, and just discussing a similar topic. And, that's just really valuable.
Yes. The community and the support that you have is something that you can't get with just a food plan.
No. Or you go to a diet that is usually one leader and a big group of ladies, and nobody gets to interact or say anything. And for me, what I've learned about myself over the years is that I need to be part of the discussion because my extrovert side needs to talk and then see the words in the air and say, oh, that's right. Yeah, that's what I think. Okay. It's just
right. Weird. When I said at the beginning that it needs to fit your personality.
That's true. You got it.
You got it. Well, that's great. And really, quite frankly, it doesn't, it's true that I don't tell you exactly what to eat at what time of day and how many meals and this and that. But right from the beginning, you got a list of whole foods.
Right.
You got a lot of recipes. And, that depending on your needs, your personality, for some people, that's more than enough. And in your case, you needed one step more to, I guess, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but to be a little bit more kind of structured. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah. Okay. And it is what it is. But
Yeah,
it's there for you should you need it.
right. And I'm not really one into recipes so much. I can take the list of food and make all kinds of food to eat. I don't really, it's too detailed for me.
Right.
I don't need to create this fabulous meal because I already know how to do. If you just give me the ingredients and I don't vary from that, I'm good. Oh, and the dairy, maybe I will get into like the
The
yogurt,
fermented.
the fermented foods, in a reintroduction phase to really check out the dairy to see if any of those hard cheeses or anything would work. But right now, I can't go off.
No, exactly. You got to give it 100% for a certain number of days. And then that's what I did as well. Completely eliminate everything that could be causing the problem and then gradually reintroduce. And for me personally, I didn't reintroduce unfermented dairy at all. It's, and and it's not necessary really for most people.
Right. Oh, yeah. It's amazing how much difference it's made.
Great. Good. Yeah. And it's amazing for me to hear you say, I don't need detailed recipes. Just give me a food list and I know what to do with it. Because at the same time, you were like, yeah, no, I didn't look at the food list.
Well, yeah.
Again, as you were saying, in week 1, when you first signed up for Life After Sugar program, you weren't ready to look at the list. In week 6, you're ready to look at a similar list.
Right. And
where the list comes from.
Yeah. I kind of made a brief foray into the whole food addiction idea, but I didn't care for it because it felt so damning. Like, let's talk about our bodies, the physiological effect of various foods. I think that's interesting and something, it's a solution. Instead of all this addiction talk, like, oh, my mother didn't like me, or why do I do this? And I don't know. I'm just tired of navel gazing. I've done a fair bit of that and it's done.
Fine.
So,
yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. We don't have to go into deep psychotherapy. You can if you want, and you don't have to if you don't.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
So when you first came across the program, you signed up for the program, what was the problem you were hoping to solve if you had one?
Well, I have a girlfriend that went off sugar, like 5 years ago, but she still has diabetes because they still think she's eating bread or something. But, I've just seen what that has done in her life, and I've tried briefly to do it. In fact, when I first started listening to the Life After Sugar, I was not eating sugar. I had been on like a 2-week success thing. And I remember when you talked about, how you'll discover the real sweetness of life. I felt like I was there, but then some event came up and it was all over,
Yeah, I know.
So I just wanted to be able to really do it with some support. I know I need support. I cannot live with me and my computer in a room. I just can't do that. That's not living.
Yeah, I get that. Yes. So it's the support, the community, the accountability,
Right.
And now the implementation as well, because it's all very well knowing it all intellectually.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I feel better able to implement it.
Smashing. Great. So how would you describe yourself and your life before? In other words, before you decided to sign up for the program, how would you describe your health, your feeling, your life?
Feeling exhausted, tired, fat, old, and just going from meal to meal. It reminds me of quitting smoking, actually, where you have to plan for your next cigarette so you can fix that feeling of addiction. And it is very similar,
Yeah. And were you looking to get rid of that feeling? Were you aware that that's how you were feeling?
I had flashes in and out of it, you know. Yeah. It's been for several years that I've gone in and out of this thing, that I've had the feeling that, man, you're really have got a problem. And I go to church and sometimes they talk about certain sins. They never cover gluttony.
Well, and we tend to think, seeing as we're talking about this, we tend to think that it's a question of gluttony and kind of our fault.
Exactly.
Whereas, yeah, and then we get all guilt trippy about it, and then, the whole cycle starts again.
Right.
But, from what I've learned about sugar and processed foods, those hyper-palatable processed foods that they make, they are specifically designed and engineered to make you crave them. It's not some sort of weakness. It's not gluttony.
I agree with you. However, I still have some gluttony. It's nuts. I could eat nuts, and I know they're good, but this closed fist handful, I don't know if I can handle that. I'm having problems with nuts.
Yes, I think for some foods, even so-called, healthy foods, the food itself is not the problem. It's our relationship with it.
Right. So I still have some of that. I know that. But other than that.
Yeah. Well, that's really good to know. Gosh, that's a lot more than most people realize.
And I'm kind of used to overeating. So, I'm trying to really think about, okay, how hungry am I at the middle of the meal and, the middle of the plate, I should say. How full is it? This is a new relationship for me.
Yeah. And that's the heart of the Life After Sugar program. And we talked about, is it really hunger? Is it real hunger? What am I really looking for? Right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And so for some people, they need the emotional questions, addressed. For other people, they do need that food list and the recipes. And then for you, it looks like what you needed to do is step back and think, wait a minute, am I hungry? Is this real hunger?
Right. Yeah.
And so the needs are different for different people in the group, right?
Sure. Yeah. It's also a decision. There's decisions that I have to make, internal decisions. Last night at that concert, it was at a winery, and they had lovely pizzas, beautiful, fresh. But it didn't bother me a bit. It just went wafting on by, except I thought about it, but not in a lingering way. But, I just had no urge to eat anything because I had already eaten my dinner before I left,
How did that feel for you, not having that urge?
It felt like I was free to enjoy the evening. I didn't have to think about anything else. I really enjoyed my my nephew's wife, and we just had a lovely time. It was really nice.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought? Free to enjoy your evening. What a concept.
Yeah. When I used to drink, my husband and I used to go to these company meetings and organization. And, after two drinks, I was just like, man, I have ruined my evening. It's the same feeling, like you're controlled by something else.
And when you're no longer controlled by that, whatever it is, sugar, alcohol, cigarettes, name it, right. It is freedom. It feels like freedom.
Yes. Yeah.
Fantastic to hear that. And I totally relate to that. Yes. So what would you say is like the most notable or specific result that you got just from the last 6 weeks, the 6-week program?
Hope. And, it's even if I would so-called cheat, it's not the end of the world. I don't have to go on a big binge or anything. It's just like, oops, shouldn't have done that. And I know that this program is there to pick me up, and I have resources. It just is a feeling of freedom. Like it's just really, really amazing.
That's great. That's really great. I mean, for me, that is to hear that is more valuable than you telling me that you've made a new recipe, you know. I mean, that is a new recipe. It's almost like it's a new recipe for how you relate to your food and to yourself.
Yes. And for life, not to have that thing hanging around, you know.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that is fantastic. Do you find that it's that change in you has impacted your family and people around you?
I haven't told anybody yet, and I'm going to wait till they notice.
How would they notice this feeling of freedom?
Well, I think I will be less crabby, more relational. I won't be eyeing the food at every buffet that we have. You know, just better functioning, moving better. I have less inflammation. It's really.
Well, I'll tell you, yes, cutting sugar and flour as well, if you do, that's going to help reduce inflammation 100%. Yes, definitely. When we won't necessarily, completely eliminate it, but certainly reduce it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. If somebody came along and knew that you were doing the Life After Sugar program, what would you say to them if they were like, well, Kathy, what is this? What's it all about?
Oh, I just go on a rant.
A positive rant or a negative rant?
Oh, a good one. Say, oh, you just can't believe the freedom from having it in the back of your mind. Oh, I wonder what they're serving at the next meal. In fact, my girlfriends and I used to laugh. Remember when we went to so-and-so's house and my girlfriend would say, what were they serving?
And do you find that sort of not being, centered on or obsessed with the food has given you the freedom to actually enjoy your food more? Yes,
very much. Yeah, because you don't have that overriding false guilt for eating. You know you're doing the right thing for your body.
Yeah.
Just knowing that I'm nourishing myself.
Yeah.
So after we leave this call, I'm going to think of all kinds of things I should have said.
You're saying the absolutely perfect things. There's no right answer or wrong answer.
Oh, I know. I don't mean the right one, but like, I should have told her this. Oh my gosh, I forgot.
Well, then we can hop on another call if you find stuff you want to say. No worries. Okay. What about now? We're just starting the After Sugar Club, which is kind of, you've got some free time in there to look around. I've given you extra resources. We'll have more calls, more. It's really time to implement, because I remember you saying, now what you need is to implement the different things that you learned in the program. And that's what the After Sugar Club is there for. Yeah. So what kind of things do you think you're going to implement first?
Well, I would like to go back and look at all the exercises and the lessons, because I know that they are helpful for the few that I did do. And I have found that throughout my life, that when I write something, it goes into my brain better, and I'm more accepting of it, and further reading and further research really is helpful. So I will just do that,
because you have access to the program forever.
Yeah. So I've kind of been bad on paperwork lately. You should see this office. Oh my gosh, stacks everywhere.
You don't have to actually print anything, because it's most of the stuff I sent you is interactive on PDF if you want to do it. Online. But we're of the generation that we like to print stuff.
Right. I like to write on paper and read on paper. Yeah. So I think I'll just continue to read more, do the exercises, just stay the course.
Yeah. Will you participate in our calls as we have them? Because we've got a call coming up tomorrow, and then we've got another one on Monday, so that I can put you into groups with the other ladies.
Oh, so sure.
You can have a chat, get to know each other, so that it's not always me. You remember you were saying there's always some leader, and I'm like, oh, I'm done with, I don't want to
No.
be a leader all the time.
Oh, no, you're not a leader. You are a leader. That is what you're doing. But you're more of a coordinator or a encourager. It's different. It's
True.
not you're up there as the expert, which we all know you are. However, you're more open.
Yes, and I think it's important, to leave space for everybody in the group to have their say, and to get to know each other, to share with each other. I mean, again, you don't get that with a printed out food plan. You don't get that with YouTube videos, however many you watch, or even a podcast. This connection, and we've all discovered this during COVID, I think, this connection that we as humans need, you can't replace that.
No.
You can't eliminate that even if you try.
Right, that's right. Yeah, we need each other.
We need each other, yes, and we need a safe space to be able to express ourselves. Some of the things that we talk about relating to sugar, even if we don't want to go back to all the psychological stuff, but some of the things that it brings up are, we need a safe space to be able to share them.
Yes. Because I noticed whenever I lost weight that my brain was fixed. Whenever I was off sugar, I wasn't depressed. I didn't have to fix my brain first,
Yes.
So I really know that there is a lot to that.
Yes. And, we live it, we experience it. It's been also, found by science and scientific studies, although, I can blind you with scientific studies if you ask me to, but really it's how you experience it that counts for you. And if you're experiencing your brain healing because you've cut sugar, then no number of scientific studies can match that.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
And they can just validate it, let's say. And funnily enough, and there's also all the part about fermented foods in the Life After Sugar program that also helps you heal your brain. Did you know that connection between your gut and your brain?
Oh, yes. The leaky gut syndrome. You know, the old expression, you have blank for brains.
That is literally true.
That is right. And I know it's true. Yeah.
And you know it because you've lived it.
Yes.
And now science is just catching up to you.
Yeah, isn't that something?
You're way ahead of them.
Well, I just listened to the UK guy yesterday, and he was saying that it's only 60 years. What was he talking about? There's only 60 years that we've been doing some practice that we're doing now in nutrition. And it's like, wow. Just think, people lived for thousands of years without all these foods.
And without all these scientific studies. And suddenly people are saying, oh, yeah, you want me to cut sugar? Prove it with scientific studies. And I'm like, okay, but where were you asking for proof when they first told you to eat more sugar?
Right. My daughter that lives here locally and her family, they make sugar. Sugar is a staple in their life. And this is another reason for me doing this, and I have to stick to it, to prove to them that, no, you don't need to do that. And to prove that I can do it,
Yeah. And not just do it, but feel good doing it.
Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic. And do you feel like, because you were saying right at the beginning that all the different sort of food plans and diets and things that you tried, you'd be able to stick to it for a week or two, and then something would happen and you'd sort of fall off the wagon, as it were.
Right.
And, for that something, it could be stress or tiredness. You've had a very busy period at work recently, and it could be anything because life carries on whether or not you eat sugar. Do you feel that you are better prepared now to stay on the wagon, if there is a wagon?
Right. Very much, because I now know what to eat. It's not like I have to guess and hope that I make it through the event, but I know that if I am properly nourished, I don't crave those things. Like I have no desire for sugar anymore. I mean, it's just like I was at my daughter's house yesterday and there were fresh chocolate chip cookies, but I don't know. It was just irrelevant to me.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? Off your radar, right?
Yeah.
Amazing. Who'd have believed?
So, but I feel like I really need to build some time into this to really, get the experience as part of a habit.
Yes.
Oh.
Right, exactly. Yes, it is a lot about rebuilding your habits so that it becomes automatic, like brushing your teeth. I mean, you don't sort of wake up in the morning and think, oh, I've got to brush my teeth again. Right. I just did it yesterday.
Right.
What a bother.
Yeah.
You don't think about it. And that's how it becomes after a while. You just don't think about it anymore. It's just how you are and who you are.
Right.
Yeah. Fantastic. Oh, thanks, Kathy. That's, pretty much all the questions I have. Kathy, do you have any questions for me?
Not at this time.
You'll think of them all afterwards.
Of course. That's how it works.
That's how it works.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time with me. This alone is so appreciated. To have a one-on-one time. It's really, really nice. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
Feel undeserving and valued at the same time. So thank you so much.
You're very, very welcome. All right. We're there if you need us.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks, Kathy. Do you know, I feel like we're kind of family. The people that went through the Life After Sugar program, I just feel like we created this bond, from all our conversations in the program, our check-in calls, our online community. It's like we've created something magical, this closeness that comes, I think, from being honest with each other, discovering about ourselves together, whether it's about science, whether it's about the more emotional and psychological needs that we have or used to have for sugar. Everybody's so different. Their needs are so different. But what unites us is just how great we feel when we finally drop sugar, and for many people, flour and sweeteners as well, and for pretty much everyone, processed foods. And also, we accept each other. You don't have to be perfect. You're allowed to falter. You're allowed to question. It's a fantastic community. And I invite you to go check it out at aftersugarclub.com and to click on Join the Program. You don't need to commit to anything right now. You can just get more information about the program and join whenever you're ready. And if you've enjoyed this podcast episode, please leave me a review and let me know how it's helping you, either with getting over the diet mentality or anything else. Thank you for listening.
That's it for this week. Keep in touch and see you soon for another episode.